resilient, brave, spiritual, and master builders who have been central to the campaign for equality and an equitable Canada. Our new goal, African Canadian truth-telling, starting today. Learn of this.
I'll continue with the French version of the Statement of Truth. La décennie internationale des personnes d'ascendance africaine mettre en lumière nos expériences au Canada. Notre présence significative au Canada, documentée depuis l'an 1605, démontre que nos contributions précèdent la formation du pays de plus de 150 ans. En fait, jusqu'à 1961, plus de la moitié des Noirs vivant au Canada y étaient nés. Nos ancêtres ont également contribué à la mosaïque du Canada, sachez-le. Notre dur labeur, nos compétences et expériences exploitées gratuitement, sans consentement, ont façonné le Canada. Par exemple, sachez que Albert Jackson a, sans aucun doute, collaboré à la structure du Canada très prometteur d'aujourd'hui. Sachez-le. Les personnes d'ascendance africaine sont résilientes, braves, main-d'œuvre et spirituelles et ont joué un rôle crucial dans la campagne prônant l'égalité et l'équité au Canada. Notre nouveau but? Raconter la vraie histoire des Afro-Canadiens dès maintenant. Apprenez ceci. Samia will continue with the preamble.
We, two ancient and durable peoples, Africans of the motherland and Indigenous of Turtle Island, have shaped in a mutually respectful and long-standing alliance. Outside interference in both the progression and the telling of our story has caused a memory lapse in that knowledge. We who transport the latent past into the public present in order to awaken the recalled stored within our DNA, exposed to all present that we two peoples conducted international trade with one another for numberless generations. We reveal to all that from time to time, groups of our folks sailed here and were welcome to reside alongside Indigenous folks as neighbours on Turtle Island. The rapport between our two people groups has persisted for 2,500 seasons and more.
I'll continue with the land acknowledgement. As people of African descent, we offer this land recognition in solidarity with the Indigenous peoples of Turtle Island in the efforts and deliberate intentions towards decolonization. We acknowledge the land of Turtle Island that was never meant to be owned. We recognize that most of the land that was entrusted to the Indigenous peoples was in some cases shared by choice, but all too often taken by force. We recognize the historical colonialism and the ongoing colonialism that has led to the present day situation where land acknowledgements are offered in place of land. As people of African descent, many of us have come here by choice, while many are here as a result of historical force. We acknowledge the complexities where we were promised land that was never given by those whose it never was to give. As people of African descent, we acknowledge the land of Turtle Island that sustains us, express deep gratitude to its Indigenous peoples, and pledge to honor our dignity and divinity that ultimately connects us all.
Thank you, Malika and Claudette.
Okay, hi everybody. So yes, just want to remind people about the initiative that under the umbrella under which we're operating this knowledge building is part of the United Parents Project. It was an initial project that is funded by the Trillium Foundation and based on the idea that we are supported and continue to support our children through a village. So through advocacy, building, community building and caring. So, and it's based on the proverb that's mentioned there, it takes a village. The three parts of this project are capacity building workshops, which you are a part of, And the system navigation, which we'll share a little bit more about in a second, but our system navigation is another aspect of the work that we're doing to help support families. It's more very interactive and one-on-one support with families. And then the Black Parent Mentorship Program is something that we offer. It's once a month on Saturdays, and it's really more of an intensive group. We call it sort of the intensive sort of learning about the school system, how parents can be more involved, and really just offering a support group for families. So the program, I believe we have some space left in the program. And so if you are interested, please send us an email and we'll get you all signed up and ready to go for that. So those are our some of our programs. We also, and we have several programs, but this particular project is under the Parents Program. So thank you. I wanted to just remind folks that there are a number of workshops. We're really busy this February. And every time we're like, we're not going to be busy in February because it is our month. It just somehow turns out that, you know, we thought it important because of the deadlines around French immersion that we made sure we did we did a workshop on French language learning last week. And this is our course selection program. We thought it very important because that is up and coming. So those of you who have students that will be transitioning to high school, and those that will be, oh, I just realized my camera's not on. And those of you that will be selecting courses, and that will be happening in the next couple of weeks. And we wanted to get ahead of that to just make sure people have knowledge and information about it before embarking on that program. So then we decided to do one again this week. We have our One Vision, One Voice program as well, a workshop that we're going to be doing, and that's being put on by our child services or family services support area. And then we also, looking ahead to March, just to put it so people can mark it in their calendars, is our quarterly meetings. We used to have these in person. I don't know that will happen. We were hoping that we'd finally get to be together in the building again. And so the quarterly meeting is on March the 10th. So I'm just putting that out there so people can mark that in their calendars and hold that date. And we're also going to have our annual general meeting in that same meeting. So we're going to sort of combine those two efforts. So just a look ahead. And so I'll put it over to the group to talk about what we're going to be focused on today, which is our course selection and pathways.
Thanks, Claudette. So by the end of this workshop, you will have an understanding of the Ontario Secondary School Diploma graduation requirements, and also have learned about the course types offered in secondary schools and the pathways available to your children, or child, or children. And before we go and introduce the two people who are so knowledgeable about this and will be speaking to us, we do have a couple of rules to follow. We've got an intimate group tonight. And so even with that intimacy, we have some guidelines. Please go ahead, Malaika.
Sure, thanks, Soy. What we like to do, and what we have found has worked well over the course of our journey together as parents of Black children and serving and holding these workshops for parents, is that we have our presenters speak first, share their information. We all get to focus on their slides. However, the chat is open and you can put your questions in there as they come to you. Sometimes people like to really focus and listen and then add their questions after. Sometimes you have questions that come up as you hear somebody say something that triggers something, a memory, a question you had. Put that all in the chat. Your observations, even sort of, feedback, or if it reminds you of something, the chat is a place for it. Samia is really diligent at pulling those questions from the chat. And after our presenters have spoken, it's about 15-ish minutes or so for each of them, then we go through the questions and make sure that every question is answered. We do like to do that as opposed to having folks open their mic and ask a question as a presenter is speaking, just so that we're all able to focus and that so questions aren't missed. And we find that it's very helpful that if the questions are in the chat, then we can make sure that we get to all of them. And of course, at the very end, there will be an opportunity to add further feedback via our feedback forms. So if there are questions that come to you later, you can put them there. The last thing I'd like to say about the benefit of the questions in the chat is sometimes seeing someone else's question typed out reminds you of another question you'd like to ask as well. And our presenters are ready to respond to all of your questions. So thank you. Thank you for entering with your mics closed, and thank you for keeping your mics closed as we go through this evening. Soini?
Awesome. Okay. We have two presenters, Nigel and Gregory, and we are going to be starting with Nigel. I'm really excited. This is a topic I know nothing about. So Nigel is a teacher, guidance counselor with 20 years with York Region District School Board. He's the chair of York District School Board's Rise Brother program, committee member of the Black Excellence program within the same board, and chair of the transitions team at Middlefield Collegiate. So we will begin.
Okay, thank you very much, and good evening, everybody. Hope everyone is doing well. Always a pleasure to connect with the Black community. Because you just feel like you're always in a safe space and you can get the truth out at every time. So once again, my name is Nigel Escoffery. Happy to be here. I'm alongside my counterpart, Greg. Good to see you, Greg. And I'm gonna kind of focus on the junior grades of transitions. So grade 8, grade 9, grade 10. And I think Greg is gonna come up next, and he's gonna focus on the senior group. So just wanted to begin and acknowledge the different pathways that are in front of our children these days. I think most parents are in the knowledge of college and university, but we also think of pathways as, you know, a journey where there's different opportunities for our children. So not only do we have college and university, we also have apprenticeship. We also have a career college opportunity. You could have a gap year. And you could also have a workplace opportunity. Can we go to the next one? So in order to earn your OSSD, so your Ontario High School Diploma, there are 3 major components to it. The first one is you need to earn 30 credits, in where 18 are compulsory and 12 of them are optional or elective. You need to be successful in the OSSLT, so the Ontario Secondary School Literacy Test. And you also need a minimum of 40 community involvement hours. So community involvement hours can start as early as in the summer of a grade 8 year. The key with the community involvement hours is to make sure you're doing correct hours. A lot of times we have students who decide that they want to venture off in something and they're willing to volunteer their time, but they're usually connected to a profit organization. We want to make sure you're connected to a nonprofit organization. So, you know, churches, temples, hospitals, YMCAs, community centers, there's an example of a few. The best thing to do is for your son or daughter to check in with the guidance counselor or the school that they plan to attend to, just to confirm that they're heading in the right direction. The OSSLT is a literacy test that happens to students in their grade 10 year. Usually happens in spring. Biggest concern or question that usually comes out with the literacy test is, if my son or daughter has grade 10 English in second semester, are they at a disadvantage of a student who has English in first semester? And the answer is no, because the literacy test is based on grade 9 to the end of grade 9 curriculum. So we're moving into course types. If you could just give me 1 second, because I can hear my son and I just have to yell at him to remind him that I'm on screen. Give me 1 second.
We understand.
You just said we are all parents of Black children, so we understand what's going on.
Sorry, he's having an intense moment. So he just closed it. Apologize. Course types. We have 4 course types that we'll focus on today. The streamed, academic, open, and locally developed. So the stream course type has come to us new as of this year. All our grade 9 students are currently in DStream math, right? So DStream has replaced the course type of applied, and it's allowing for all learners to be have the same opportunity, the same venture in particular subject areas, right? As your son and daughter move, if they're in grade 8 this year and they're moving into grade 9 next year, the stream tractor is going to move not only into math, but it's also going to move into science. So you're going to have grade only science in the stream course type, and you're also going to have math in the stream course type. We'll move to the next one. Next slide. So like I mentioned before, in this coming year, the 2022-2023 year, math and science are being offered only in the stream course type. Common curriculum designers for all learners allows for students to continue to pursue all post-secondary pathways. Academic course type. Our students kind of a focus with a theoretical approach, who can think outside the box, abstract thinkers, self-directed, are really strong with independent learning, and they are typically larger class sizes. So an open course type, every student will have an open course in their grade 9 year. Open course types allow a student to explore their interests or their current interests or something of needs or something that they're interested to learn about. You can have a combination of all course types. You can have a combination of the stream, academic, and or open course type. You do not have to just stick to one course type when selecting courses. Go to the next one. Okay. So it's important that we understand how we read a course code. There are 5 characters to a course code. Whereas the first 3 characters, if we can just hit the tab for me. Here you go. The first 3 characters focuses on the actual subject. So in this case, ENG is an English course. The next character, the number 1, if we can hit the tab for me. Right, that's the grade. So 1 is for grade 9, 2 is for grade 10, 3 is for grade 11, and 4 is for grade 12. As we hit the tab again, the 5th course type, the first character is the course type. So we just went through all the course types. In this case, D represents academic. So if I was to back up a little bit, and I should have mentioned this earlier, in the streamed course code, the course type would be represented by a W, right? In an open course code, the course type would be represented with an O, right? In this case, in an academic course type, of course, the character that's representing academic is a D. And in a local developed course code, the character that we represent locally developed would be an L. You can hit the tab for me. Awesome. The last character is school specific. So the first 5 characters are the same exact characters across Ontario, right? The last character is a school specific. So in this case, ENG 1D1 just means that this is just a regular academic English course. It could say ENG 1DL, and in that case, depending on the school, it could mean that it's a grade 9 academic ESL course, just for an example of what the last character can do to a course code. Go to the next slide. Okay, so this is an example of what a timetable is going to look like for a grade 9 student. 3 components of it that I'll focus on. If you could just hit the tab for me. Okay. So you'll see in the timetable the ability to be able to read a course code. So in this case, this is a grade 9 boys phys ed class. The next line you'll see, if you can hit it again for me. Awesome, is the teacher. And then the next line you'll see, if you can hit the tab again for me, is the room number. So in this case, this student during first period that runs from 8:35 to 9:50 is taking grade 9 boys phys ed. His teacher is Mr. Heitman, and his room number is 124, which is the large gym at the school that I'm at, right? For most schools, there are 4 periods in the day, with 1 period being the lunch. So 5 periods a day with 1 of them being your lunch. Classes are 75 minutes long, right? And your lunchtime will vary depending on the school you're at. But in our case, our lunch period is 50 minutes long. Can we go to the next one? Okay, so it's strongly recommended that students entering grade 9 do the following 6 compulsory courses, right? You have grade 9 English, and this year it's only being offered at academic, right? You have your mathematics, and we know it's gonna be offered at the stream pathway. Science, new to the stream pathway, but you also offer science. Geography, which is also only gonna be offered at the academic pathway. French is offered at the academic pathway or in an open pathway. If you're taking open French, it means that you didn't accumulate enough hours in your elementary years to be taking open French. So students who are new to the country or just new to the language. Generally, if you're a student who has been taking French since grade 4 to grade 8, that generally gives you the amount of hours that are allotted for you to be taking academic French. And then our 6th compulsory course would be health and physical education. Depending on which high school you're going to, sometimes there's adaptive ESL classes. And along with your 6 6 compulsory courses, you're going to select 2 elective courses. We could jump in now. Okay, so as this one's building, yeah. So we're gonna take a second and we're gonna get into, let's go forward.
Sorry.
That's okay, there you go. Go the other way.
My computer is now thinking. If you want to take over.
You want me to jump in? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so if I share my screen.
There you go.
Yeah.
While that's loading up, can I just add in quickly that it would be advised if parents can just double check, like when they've done their course selections, I know you're probably going to say this, but I'm just waiting as this is loading, to remember to just double check the course types. So as you've gone through the selection, just do a double check, what have I selected? And is it what we wanted? Just as a reminder, but I'm sure you're going to say that.
100%. Okay, so we figured just because we want to maximize time, we thought it might be a good idea to actually show what it looks like to actually select courses through a student's planner through my blueprint. There were a couple of screenshots that I was going to show in terms of alerts that can happen and the review section. So we'll get through the whole thing and we'll go through all the stages that one is going to see when selecting and submitting their courses. All right. So this is my planner that every student or every son and daughter will have through my blueprints. It allows them to kind of plan ahead, which we always encourage. So if the end goal in mind is university, what is it that I'm wanting to take in university, and depending on what I want to take, what grade 12 prerequisites do I need to get to university? What grade 11 what grade 12, what grade 11 prerequisites have to make me get to grade 12, what grade 12 to grade 10 prerequisites get me to grade 11. And here we are in grade 9 to set us up for the years ahead. Now, generally grade 9 and grade 10 are pretty dictated for our students. In this case, we know in grade 9, they're going to be taking 6 compulsory courses and 2 electives. In grade 10, there's 5 compulsory courses and 3 electives. And it's when you get into grade 11 and 12 is where the flexibility and freedom of choice, focus in on the direction they want to go is really when it kicks into their senior years, okay? So I always say when selecting courses, it's kind of like going shopping, all right? So I've already put a few in just for time's sake, to be aware of time. So I'll focus on English. All I'm gonna do is hit the plus sign, all right? And you'll see there's only one option of English that a student can take now, all right? It's the academic option, right? In the past, there would have been 3 options here, but they're now moving into the stream world that we are. They're only offering one option, which is academic, right? I'm gonna click on that, and the beauty about my blueprint, it gives you a full description to make sure this is the course that you wanna take. It'll even lead you into kind of taking this grade 9 course. It's a prerequisite for grade 10 academic English, which is going to lead you to grade 11 university and lead you to grade 12 university English. So similar to what just Claudette said, you want to make sure you take the time and read the description that you're entering the right course. I'm going to hit add course. And all goes well. There's my English right there for me, right? I'll use science as another example. So I'm going to hit the plus sign. Right? You'll see that they only offer you stream science. Click on it. See my description. I'm going to add a course. Right. I'm using phys ed as an example, just to kind of continue the piggyback of what Claudette had mentioned. You want to make sure that you're reading the course code and making sure you're accurate in the selection, because in high school, phys ed isn't in co-ed. Some courses are in your senior years, but in grade 9, right, they're gender-based. So you can see that PPL 108 is healthy active living for females, and PPL 109 is healthy active living for male students. If I am a male student and I select the female code, right, the computer will allow me to do it. Okay, it'll allow me to do it. So make sure that when you click on it, you're reading the description to make sure you're entering the right class. And believe it, in my 20 years of teaching, as in some of it being in phys ed, I've seen that student who accidentally picked a female code and was the only male student in that class. We have to make a quick change on the first day of school. Okay. So I have my 6 compulsories selected, okay? And then on top of that, you're gonna have your 2 electives. So here are my 2 electives that I'm choosing from. So I decided to go with business, all right? I'm gonna back this one up a little bit so you can see the bigger picture, all right? So my 6 compulsories, all right? And my 2 electives, I'm gonna add a course, all right? And the good thing about my blueprint is if you go to grade 9, right? Because it gives you options here. Go to grade 9, and then it will just focus strictly on the grade 9 courses that are offered to you. So if I go to arts as an elective that I want to choose, right? I can pick drama, for example, hit it, add course. Right, there we are, all right? For most schools, they're gonna recommend that you take 3 alternates, all right? And you wanna make sure the alternates that you're selecting are courses that you're willing to take, all right? You just don't want to throw in alternates for the sake of throwing in alternates, all right? So I click on the alternate button, alternate button, all right? I'm gonna figure out what grade 9, just for filtering sake. Just decided I'm gonna go to business, all right? One grade 9 business offered to me, I hit it, and then I add courses, okay? So, I just want to get this out of the way. All right, so this is what your course planner is going to look like, all right? And once your 8 courses, your 8 daytime courses are in, and your 3 alternates are in, it will give you an option, okay, to submit. Now, because we're in a demo phase, right, I can't submit right now, right? Not until it opens up, but you would see a tab up in this area that says review courses, right? So as you review courses, let me just make sure it's moving around. Okay. When you hit review courses, it will give you a layout of all the courses you decided that you wanted to take. This is what we kind of call your rough copy version. At this point, you want to tell your son or daughter to maybe print this out or show it to you, right? Show it with their teachers, maybe some influence from, you know, an uncle, an aunt, or a cousin, to make sure that these are the courses that they want to select. After you feel you reviewed and you give thumbs up to the courses, you're going to hit submit, right? And then once you hit submit, all right, the courses go to the appropriate place or the school that you're intending to go to, right? You want to make sure that you review your courses first before you hit submit, because once you hit submit, you cannot get it back. It gets locked in. I don't know if we want to put back up, if so, want to pick up the PowerPoint. I don't have it on my on one of my tabs yet. Awesome. So if we just go a couple of slides back, it'll help me explain kind of what I was speaking about. Good looking man right there. Awesome. Okay, so what I wasn't able to show in the demo was things of this nature. So step 1 would be selecting my courses, okay? And then step 2 would be review my courses, but I wasn't able to do that, all right? During these times along review, you may have a few alerts, you know, making sure that this is the course you're supposed to be into, you may need permission in this course, so on and so on. Can we go to the next slide? All right. This is what it looks like when it's review my courses, right? It'll list all of the 8 courses you have selected, plus the 3 alternates, all right? This is what we call the rough copy. This is what you want to double check, all right, with your son or daughter to make sure the courses they're selecting are the right courses to put them in their desired future, right? And you can see up in the upper right corner, submit courses selection. Once I hit that button, it means that my courses are going to get submitted and I can't get it back. It'll give you it'll give you another warning, like in a prompt you saying, if you hit this submit button, realize that you're submitting your courses, okay? It might also stop you if all bubbles are not filled in. So let's say you picked your 6 compulsory, your 2 electives, but you've only picked 1 alternate. It may stop you depending on how the school has set up the system to alert you that you need to pick 2 more alternates before you can submit. Okay. Next one. Okay, so I'm sure there's going to be a handful of questions to follow. So that's just to give you the baseline of, you know, transition from grade 8 into grade 9. So I will pass it on to Greg to speak to the senior side.
Thank you so much, Nigel, for sharing that with us. And next up, we'll have Greg Becker, I hope I said that right, who will also be sharing with us some information about what to do and what to look for as we go through course selections with your children. Just to introduce Greg, Greg is a published co-author of the book Black History, Africa, the Caribbean, and the Americas textbook, the Great Black North Poetry Anthology. And he's also a recognized educator who has won the Governor General Award for Teaching Excellence, or finalist in the Governor General Award for Teaching Excellence, the AHEN Excellence in Teaching Award as well. Greg has co-written curriculum for the Ontario Ministry of Education. He's a co-developer and co-presenter of See Us, Learn Us, Teaching the Black Canadian Experience, a nationwide webinar for educators and education stakeholders in partnership with Nelson Education. Greg is also a senior writer for the CBC Kids website. He is a poet and playwright who has written works like Do You Remember Me and Pieces of a Black Woman's Soul, which were performed at the Toronto Fringe Festival and the Sandbox Theatre, respectively. Greg, you have so much we could learn from you. So please take it away.
Thank you, thank you. And I just want to say that I'm so happy to be a part of this this meeting tonight and to be able to contribute to this forum. And I just wish that Black parents had access to this kind of information when I was in high school. So this is just so amazing that this group is doing this. And I just want to thank the group for doing the work that they do and for giving me the opportunity to be a part of this. And you were close with my last name is Burkett, Greg Burkett. So let's go to the next slide here. And as Nigel mentioned, I'm going to be looking at grade 11 and 12 and a little beyond that. By the time you hit grade 11, we like to talk about something called 16 by 16, right? Which is where your student or your child should have 16 credits by the time they hit the age of 16, right? So they get 8 in grade 9, 8 in grade 10. So as they're going into their grade 11 year, they should have 16 by the time they hit the age of 16. Now, when you hit grade 11 and 12, Nigel mentioned before that the courses in grade 9 and 10, you're looking at de-streamed or open courses, academic. When you get to grade 11 and 12, now you're looking at college and university prep. And you know, as he broke it down for you there and showed you what the course description looks like, or the name of the course, right? The 5th letter determines whether you're taking a college course or a university course, or a mixed level course as well, right? So if you can see at the bottom there of my college preparation course example, MBF3C, right? So that is a college math for grade 11, and the C, the fifth character lets you know that it is a college course. And that just gives you a little breakdown of what you can expect in a college level course. So it provides students with knowledge and skills needed to meet entrance requirements for most college programs. And you're looking at more concrete applications. As Nigel mentioned before, these kinds of classes might be a bit smaller, right? So the college prep courses, often the class sizes are a little smaller so that the teachers have more opportunity to support the students in these classes. And then when you're looking at the university prep, the 5th character is a U, and that represents then that you are taking a university prep course. And these courses are preparing you to apply and meet the entrance requirements rather for university study. Okay, next slide. And then we have mixed courses, right? And these courses also give you the opportunity to be prepared for university or college, right? So these courses can be used towards applying for university or the college pathway. And then workplace, these ones, again, are preparing students for entry into the workforce upon the completion of their high school academic career. Next slide. So just to sort of give you a visual of what the pathway looks like in high school, right? So the workplace courses, and again, we want to stress, if your child is taking workplace courses, they are being prepared to go into the workforce upon the completion of their academic career, and the workplace courses cannot be used for the college or university streams. All right, so that just gives you a sort of a graphic representation of where those courses take you once you're entering post-secondary. Okay, so I chose rather to sort of give you the layout for the math pathway, because math is the course that, or it's the discipline rather, that causes a lot of anxiety, I find, with regards to students and parents, right? You'll have you know, almost every year show up in my office with a parent, and they're trying to explain to their parent, for instance, that, you know, they want to take anthropology in university, and anthropology doesn't require a math credit. And the parent is very adamant, you know, they'll say, you know, no, I want them to take maths all the way through, right? And the kid is saying, but I don't necessarily need math for anthropology. And there's this belief that you need to take math all the way through, and that's not necessarily true. You actually need 3 math credits to meet the requirements for the OSSD diploma. But if you are taking a university course or a college course that requires math, then you have to see the requirements or look at the requirements and then take the correct math courses to meet the requirements for that program, right? And this just gives you, as Nigel was mentioning before, prerequisites, right? So if you look at grade, for instance, let's say you want to take calculus, right? Well, then you have to take the grade 11 university prep course, which is the MCR3U, right? And then that gives you the opportunity to then go on and take functions in grade 12. And you have to take functions if you want to take calculus in grade 12. And again, if you are looking to take a university program that requires that you have calculus, then you need to know from grade 11, or it's a good idea to know from grade 11 so that you are taking the university level math course. And then that way you're eligible to take functions, and functions gives you the opportunity then to take calculus, right? And it's a good idea if you are, if your son or daughter is enrolled in a school that is semestered, to really get that functions course in the first semester so that you can take calculus in the second semester. All right, so that just gives you a little idea of what the math pathway looks like. Next slide. And again, I just wanted to sort of reiterate the prerequisites, right? So the functions, again, and it's cut off there, it says MCR3U1 is a prerequisite, and it should say for MHF, which is the functions course. Now, if you are taking a university course or you're entering a university program that doesn't necessarily require a specific math, you can take, but it does ask for you to have a math credit, a senior level math credit. You can actually take data management, and that will require a senior math credit. So you don't have to take functions or calculus if the university level program that you're going into doesn't require you to have a specific math course, right? If you just need to satisfy a senior level or a grade 12 level math credit, then you can take data management to meet that requirement. Next slide. Right, I apologize for the blurriness of this this particular slide. It's a screenshot, but I just wanted to, again, give you a visual with regards to how the pathway works all the way through to grade 12, and have a look again at the different prerequisites. And I'm just looking at 3 courses here, math, English, and then in the next slide, we'll look at science. But just to let you see, so for instance, with English, right, it is de-streamed now, as we talked about earlier on. So grade 9 and 10 English, de-streamed, but then when you get to grade 11, you have choice. You can go with either the 3U, which is the university prep, or the 3C, which is the college, right? And again, you need to take the 3U in order to take 4U. Now, let's say, for instance, you thought you wanted to go to college, but you change your mind. You can always go and take the 3U in summer school, or you can take it in semester 1 in your grade 12 year, so that then you're eligible to take the 4U in the next semester, right? But you cannot take 3C and then change your mind and go to 4U. You still have to take the 3U in order to be eligible to take the 4U. You can take 3U, however, and if you decide that you don't want to do the university prep, you can take 4C in grade 12. Okay, and then we talked a little bit about the math pathway, but there it is again laid out for you for the grade 11 and 12 as well, right? So again, you know, if you're taking the grade 11 college, you can take the grade 11, the grade 12 college math, but if you decide then that you want to actually take a grade, a 4U math, then you have to take the 3U grade 11 math course, and then you're eligible to go forward and take functions or data management, and then from functions on to calculus. Okay. And then this is just the science layout for the pathway going from grade 9 and 10 through to 11 and 12. Again, you can see the prerequisites there, right? And this is really important, okay? So if you take the grade 11C, right, for let's say, for instance, biology, and you decide or you change your mind, you still have to take the grade 11U in order to take the 4U when you get to grade 12, okay? Right, so university, and this is just giving you a little breakdown here of what university looks like and why you might decide to take that path, right? So there are over 500 different university programs in Ontario. And of course, you know, you've got everything from humanities to engineering, and then of course, fine and performing arts programs like dance and music. Very competitive to get into, right? So again, and you know, it's very challenging, and I tell my students this all the time. It's really challenging to know from, you know, in grade 11 that this is something you know, to make that decision. I want to go to university or I want to go to college. But if you are, you know, the safest route then is to sort of leave as many options available to yourself, and if you'd like, then you can take the 3U courses, and then that gives you the opportunity to have some mobility and some flexibility when you get to grade 12. Okay. Another thing I wanted to mention though is with grade 11, students will often say, well, you know, sir, my grade 11 grades don't count, right? It's all about my grade 12 grades. And that's yes and no. Grade 11 grades sometimes can impact things like early acceptance with regards to university acceptance, as well as early acceptance. Early acceptance as well as scholarships. Scholarships sometimes are looking at your grade 11 grades to determine your eligibility for certain scholarships as well. But I'll talk about that a little bit more when I get to the scholarship section, right? So to apply rather for university, you need to have 12 U or M level courses, right? At the grade 12 level. We often say, think about having 7, right? In case you don't do well in one, you have another one, because they're looking at your top 6, right? Your entrance for the universities, they're looking at your top 6 to 12 U or M level courses. So we often say, you know, don't just take 6, throw a 7th in there, just in case, you know, you don't do too well on one course, you've got another one to back you up, okay? If you are an ESL student, or a student who's come to Canada from a country, or from a country where English wasn't your first language, there will be an English language proficiency requirement that you have to think about as well, TOEFL test or something of that nature that you'll have to take to meet university requirements also. And this is very different from when you know, I was applying for university. Now they often ask for supplementary information. Sometimes you have to do a video essay or an audition, things of that nature, or have a portfolio put together in order to meet the requirements for a particular program at the university level. Okay. Now, I often tell students who are applying for university to also consider applying for college. right? And I'll talk about it a little bit later on, but colleges now offer, many colleges offer the opportunity to get a degree, right? To obtain a bachelor's degree. But I'll talk about that a little bit later on. So, you know, there is this stigma, and there has been this stigma that we really sort of need to get around. We do this ranking, right, where we have university and then college and then apprenticeship, and you know, we really need to get rid of that and just think about what is the best pathway for you. So college, essentially what I'm saying is, don't sleep on college, right? University is often what we in our community think is the best thing, but college is also a pathway that we should consider that has a lot of opportunities or provides a lot of opportunities. It's the fastest pathway to the job market, 2 to 3 years versus 4 years in university. And I'm not saying this stuff to downplay university, just saying this to sort of put college on equal footing with university. It's hands-on practical learning, more programs than university as well, right? And then the requirements are different. You don't need the 6 courses at the U or M level. You just need to make sure or ensure that you have your grade 12 English, and that English can be either a college English or it can be a university English at the grade 12 level. Okay, so as I was mentioning before, colleges are now offering, many colleges are offering the opportunity for you to get a bachelor's degree. So let's say, for instance, now you've gotten to college and you decide that you want to go into a degree program. Many colleges actually offer what they call bridging courses. So if you took only college level courses, the grade 12 college level courses, then you do have the opportunity to go to these or to go into these bridging courses. And some colleges offer these bridging courses for free, right? So you can actually take these courses, and these courses then meet the requirements for the bachelor degree at the particular college. All right. When you hit, and I am aware that the time is moving, so I'm gonna move forward quickly here, but with dual credit. So when you hit grade 11 and 12, you do have the opportunity then to think about dual credit. And this is amazing because you can actually obtain a college degree, a college credit and a high school credit at the same time, right? And this gives you the opportunity, and I really recommend this for a lot of kids. It gives you the opportunity to go to a college and get that feel, that post-secondary feel with regards to what the programs are like. And they also give you, and this is really cool, it gives you access to things like the college computer labs. It gives you access to the college gyms, all the facilities at the college. You're like a college student when you're doing dual credit. So you get the opportunity to really get that feel for post-secondary while you're still in high school. And you can end up earning a high school credit as well as a college credit. And then when you graduate and you go on to college, you've already got that credit or two, depending on how many times you do a dual credit, already banked for you, and that goes towards your college diploma. Okay, and now OYAP, the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program. This is, again, an amazing opportunity through co-op. So when you hit grade 11 and 12, you also have the opportunity to take co-op, which gives you on-the-job training, right? And you're earning high school credit at the same time. If you go into OYAP, it gives you, again, this apprenticeship that you can take and learn skills or acquire skills in trades, right, in grade 11 and 12. And again, the stigma surrounding trades, we really have to sort of rethink the way we've looked at trades, right? And in the past, we've looked at trades, and we've thought that, if you're going into a trade, this is sort of a fallback, or you weren't intelligent enough to go to university or to college, and that is absolutely untrue. And I'm proud to say that my father is a skilled tradesperson, carpenter, and has provided for my family in amazing ways. And we should not be looking down on the trades at all. As a matter of fact, and I've got a bullet point there that says that tradespeople earn 3.1% more than the average Canadian. So there is money to be made in the trades. So again, if your son or daughter is thinking about the trades in grade 11 or 12, OYAP gives them the opportunity to explore different trades and figure out if those are the ones that they want to go forward with. All right, and the gap year, once again, in our community, a little bit of a stigma where gap year is concerned, right? Try telling a Caribbean parent that you want to take a gap year, and this a gap, we are talking about, right? And you have to explain to them that a gap year actually could be something that might be very beneficial to you, and also with regards to, and this is where you can really get a Caribbean parent. They're not wasting money when you go into college or university that first year, and you're spinning and you don't know what you want to do. Instead of going in, you can take that gap year and figure things out, right? So students who are unsure of what they'd like to do after graduating from high school can take this year to explore different options and review their options and prepare mentally and even mature a bit, right? Before you make that decision about what you want to do for the rest of your life. And I've put this website there, the CanGap website. And that website really explains for parents, educators, students, the different options that you can explore during a gap year, right? And there are opportunities for you to receive coaching and counseling with regards to the decision that you want to make going forward for your future, as well as, opportunities to pad your resume and to gain work experience here and abroad. So I strongly recommend that you go to the CanGap website so that you can have a look at the options that are available during for students who want to take a gap year. And again, this is really, I guess I'm just basically saying to parents to be open to it. I'm not encouraging it, I'm not selling it, I'm just saying be open to it for your students. Okay, scholarships. So scholarships really, there are a couple of different types of scholarships. There are scholarships that you can apply for, and then there are scholarships that your school will nominate you for, depending on the scholarship that it is. So for instance, there's one scholarship that's really popular, the Loran Scholarship. And that one, the school actually has to nominate you for the scholarship. So there might even be some internal competition in the school with regards to that scholarship, because the amount of nominations that a school can make are based on the size of the school. So, larger schools might be able to nominate 3 or 4 students for the Loran Scholarship or scholarships like that. And then smaller schools might only be able to nominate 1 or 2 students. So there might be some internal competition there. And that's where, again, your grade 11 grades can actually impact your opportunities, right? So, grade 11 isn't a year necessarily to coast and then you turn it on in grade 12. You should actually, put some effort forward in grade 11 as well. Particularly, again, where scholarships are concerned, when you're thinking about scholarships. Be sure to check deadlines where scholarships are concerned, because different scholarships have different deadlines. They're not all offered or due at the same time. So make sure that you're checking the deadlines for the scholarships. Also, see what scholarships the post-secondary school that you're applying to has to offer as well. So the scholarships that York has to offer might be different from the scholarships that Ryerson, or the scholarships that Humber has to offer might be different from the scholarships that George Brown might have, or the scholarship opportunities that George Brown has, right? So make sure that you're looking at that as well. Most universities will offer an entrance scholarship. So again, your grades, those are often based on your academic or your academic achievement. So make sure that your children are putting their best foot forward, and then they have opportunities to take advantage of the entrance scholarships that the universities are providing. Please do check your, I guess, for instance, like the JCA, the heritage organizations and cultural organizations like the JCA, like the BBPA, like the Association of Black Law Enforcers, ABLE, right? Check those websites and those organizations, because they too offer scholarships as well. There's scholarships that sometimes really are just connected to your heritage, right? So they're for students who are of African descent or Caribbean descent, or African Caribbean, or from a particular, or whose parents are from a particular island. I remember I was able to, when I was in university, apply for the Barbados Nurses Association scholarship, and that's because my parents are from Barbados. And it's like, whoa, who knew that them being from Barbados would give me an extra $1,000 to use toward my academic pursuits, right? But be sure, again, to check those heritage and cultural organizations to see what is offered, and apply far and wide. I remember a student actually getting a hockey scholarship, and this student didn't play hockey. How did this happen? The organization had this scholarship offered and no one applied for it, and they had the money there, and this student applied for it and never played hockey, and they gave the money to the student because no hockey players applied for it. So apply far and wide. And then, I want to tell parents to tell their children to be prepared to write essays for scholarships, right? And it's not such a bad thing. I know it does add to your workload, but to write an essay and you end up getting $2,000 or $3,000 that you can put towards your education, it'll be well worth it. So, for instance, the RBC has a Black History Month essay that you can write and get some money towards university for that, right? So, again, please, encourage them to write their essays and their personal profiles and different things of that nature in order to access these scholarships and bursaries that are available. Way more scholarships and bursaries available every year, right? So way more now than 10 years ago or 15 years ago for students pursuing post-secondary education. Next slide. Okay, and then summer mentorship programs, right? So summer mentorship programs are available for students, and this is where students can actually really make some good connections. You can meet people who are in the field that you're thinking of going into, and those connections can pay off for you. Those are people who might write recommendation letters for you, those types of things. So it's really important to think about summer mentorship programs. And I've listed, I've just put 2 examples here. So this one is one that U of T runs for grade 10 and 11 students. Again, for STEM, right? So it's really important, I think, to keep kids active during the summer, and summer mentorship programs are a great way to do that. And you can see that the date there, it's not even a full month in the summer, but it's really something that I think our kids can benefit from. And there's so many now that are geared towards Black students to try to give them more opportunities. Next slide. And then this summer mentorship program, I was actually a part of this one this summer past, and I really enjoyed it. It was really good. One of the things that I really liked was that they offered academic learning with no strings attached, right? It was just academic learning for the joy of learning. So my sister and I taught a Black history course, a Black Canadian history course. And if there, you know, no grading, nothing like that. The kids were just there just to learn and, you know, and just to engage with material. And of course, you know, they're still sharpening their academic skills and acquiring knowledge, but they don't have to worry about grading and the pressure and things of that nature that come along with assignments, just learning for the joy, right? So they've got academic as well as the arts and, sorry, next slide. And then aspirations, right? So if you're thinking of becoming an entrepreneur, they've got courses for that as well. And that's with the Lifelong Leadership Institute, Lifelong Leadership Institute. And that's it for me. So again, thank you so much for this opportunity to share this information with you. And I believe now we're gonna open things up for questions. But again, thank you so much.
No, thank you both. You guys have done a phenomenal job of making sure that we all understood that there were many options, of making sure that we understood equally importantly that not only are there options, but we really must sit alongside our children, sit alongside our family members, maybe not just our children, but other people who need us to support them and navigate. You know, you spend so much time navigating through the elementary grades and all the grades, but here there is, you both have made it so clear that we don't stop, that there are really fine details that we have to pay attention to. I will not make it about me, but there were several letters where I was like, oh my goodness, I don't remember doing all these things. So I don't know if other parents were feeling the same way. But thank you both so much for illuminating pathways for our children to find success, and particularly illuminating pathways that we might not feel comfortable with, but you have both clearly shown us that we need to keep a laser-like focus on our children, their interests, their strengths, and where they can go and grow. So at this point, I will pass it on to, let's see. Oh, I don't. We have a, oh, yes, it will be Samia. We have a feedback form that we would like you to fill out, but I'm going to pass it on to Samia. Go ahead.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Zoe. So we have a few questions so far that's been captured. And the first one is it possible to make changes once students have made their selections?
I'll jump in and take that one. It usually is possible. Like anything, you know, if we're going to be honest, like anything, you want to make sure that you're making some decisions, you know, some clear decisions early, so you don't have to make those changes. Because the reality is a lot of times when students want to make changes, the particular courses they want to change to the course of control. So you really, really want to make sure you're selecting correctly right away. Saying that now, like if you even just think of like a grade 9 student or a grade 10 student, you know, where their minds are at, for them to have to make a decision in February for, you know, September courses, of course their mind will change through the summer. It might even change like in the spring. So most schools are open to changes. You just have to be prepared that that change may not be able to happen just due to courses being controlled.
Thank you so much. And the second question is, does it matter if the course is taken in night school or summer school?
Yeah, so depending, well, with the senior courses anyways, some universities don't really, you know, it can be, your opportunity to be admitted into certain programs can be impacted by summer school courses. So for instance, if you're taking an English 4U, right, in the summer, some universities actually do frown on that. So it's better to try to take it during day school, right, as opposed to summer and even night school, but particularly summer school. There are some universities that would prefer that you not take your 4U English and even some math courses, depending on the program in the university in summer school.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And the final question for the night, before we open it up to the public, is do we need the principal's approval if my son is in grade 10 and wants to take grade 11 math course in summer school?
No, principal approval is not needed as long as that student has the prerequisite for the grade 11 course. So if they're looking to take grade 11U math, for example, the prerequisite is grade 10 academic math. So as long as they have the prerequisite, it's not approval that needs to be needed.
Right, and we have one final question in the chat. After the fact, can teachers change the course codes that the parents have chosen with their children?
That's okay, we can tell the truth.
No, so I'm just, the reality is parents are the law. Right? The parents are the law. We can't forget that. So you as a parent, if you feel that your child needs to be in a particular course, and that's the course you want your child to be in, and as long as the child has the prerequisites, that can't be changed. And I smile because, you know, there's always going to be recommendations, you know, and I never want to go against the recommendation of an educator. We talk about your son or daughter being with teachers for most of the day. So, you know, a teacher's insight to their academic ability will have some type of opinion for sure, as the insight as a parent probably knows their son or daughter socially, emotionally better than a teacher would. But saying that, you know, no, it can't be changed. To be honest with you, when changes are happening, there should be permission that is being understood that this change is going to happen. So for example, if there's ever a pathway change, so if a student came to me and was in grade 10 academic English, and they said they wanted to go down, they wanted to move to grade 10 applied English, right? Or that's not a good example because applied is making its way out. Let's go, student was in grade 11 university English, right? And they decided that they want to switch to grade 10, grade 11 college English, right? They have the right to do it, but because they're not 18, I'm just not going to approve that change. I'm going to have some type of contact from a parent. And if the parent gives a thumbs up, then I'll go with it, you know? I think on the opposite side now, though, if a student was in grade 11 college English and they wanted to do grade 11 university and they had the prerequisite, you know, because I'm literally opening more doors with the 11U, I probably wouldn't check in with that parent. We just go forward.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Nigel and Greg, for being able to answer those questions. And funnily enough, we have some time to actually be able to have an open dialogue, have an open discussion. Maybe there's some parents that might have questions that they would like to vocally raise. If so, please do share. Let's build knowledge and engage with one another.
I would like to jump ahead of the line.
Go ahead.
I was really curious about the summer programs. Are they offered, like how young does it go, or how old do you have to start?
Yeah, it all depends on the program, right? So you saw the U of T one there was for grade 10 and 11 students, and they'll often specify and let you know. With Summer Up, it was grade 8 and up. And they sometimes will make exceptions, right? So, you know, if you advocate, you can get a grade 7 child in, right? But really it's from grade 8 through to university. I had the course that I was doing with Summer Up, I had students in there that were 13 and I had some that were 21 in that class, right? And you work to make sure that the material, you know, is accessible for all of them. So really the programs will specify, But again, it's just an amazing way for your kids to stay sharp over the summer and to make those connections that I mentioned before, with regard to people who might end up being, individuals who could write a letter of recommendation for you, or help you get an internship or things of that nature. So it's a good idea.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, with the community hours, if somebody has 300 or 500 hours, would it help that person to get to the good university, or the university don't look at the community hours? Plus your mark, obviously.
So volunteer hours or involvement hours always come up. There's a lot of discussions about, do I get more hours to earn scholarships and stuff of that nature? The honest answer is universities just want to make sure that you have the minimum hours, which are the 40 hours, because it proves that you're a graduate, for one. Some scholarships, some bursaries require you to have a certain amount of hours. So it's always good to earn hours and put them in your back pocket or establish it. And hopefully your son or daughter is doing something they really enjoy, because it also looks amazing on a resume. But in terms of particular, is having 300 to 500 hours going to give me that edge to actually get into a university? My answer is no, but it's also a yes, because there's also kind of supplementary applications that it could be filled out, and putting things like that on a supplementary application could help you to get into university or get into a particular program in choice.
Thank you.
I actually have a question as well myself. I wanted to know, okay. So how early should parents start really planning for post-secondary education in terms of aligning it with their course selections for their children? Like what grades would you recommend should be sort of the open gates person? Okay, I think you probably understood what I was trying to say.
I know Greg's going to have a lot on this one also. I just want to say one point to that question. I personally believe, since we're in a safe space, I believe the most important course selection year is the student going from grade 10 to grade 11. Because in grade 9, you're pretty much given your courses, right? 6 compulsory, 2 electives. Grade 10, same thing, 5 compulsory, 3 electives. You go to summer school, maybe you get another elective. Going into grade 11 is when things change and the doors open. And the reality is there's pretty much not a grade 12 course that doesn't require a prerequisite at this point. So you have to think to yourself 2 years in advance, right? And then in retrospect, you're thinking 3 years in advance, because if you're trying to go to post-secondary school, now you got to think to yourself, hey, I want to do this program post-secondary, which is going to affect the courses I pick in grade 12, which are going to affect the courses that I pick in grade 11. Hence my belief of grade 10 course selection going into grade 11 being the most important course selection, which connects to the thought process of when am I starting to think about post-secondary. Greg, I know you want to jump in, so please do, man, because this one is a really good one.
No, I think you nailed it. It really, and as I mentioned before, it's difficult for a kid at 15 and 16 to make that decision. Like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, or this is, these are the things that I think I'm interested in. And, their moods and their interests and all those kinds of things change, all the time, right? But, and let me say, you can always undo things, right? So let's say, for instance, you end up taking grade 11 C courses and you want to take U afterwards. You can undo that by picking up different courses in another semester, or in summer school, or in night school, or whatever. But if you know what you want to do, it just makes the pathway smoother and easier and more direct, right? So that's not to say, like, I just want to make sure that people understand, like, if you take a lot of grade 11 C courses or U courses and you want to switch and go the other, a different direction, it's not impossible. is just a bit more challenging, right? So if you are aware, and this is where, you know, encouraging students to keep their pathway open. And I don't want to say that every student should take U level courses, but the U courses kind of give you a bit more flexibility and options going forward. The you know, C and workplace and those kinds of things close it off for you a bit. But again, you know, it's really, you know, what are you comfortable taking, and your abilities, and, you know, being self-aware and things of that nature. But the U level courses do give you a bit more wiggle room and opportunities, you know, going into grade 12 and going forward. But, you know, so anything that you do can be undone, but really, as Nigel said, that grade 10 into 11 year is pivotal, right? As I mentioned before, that's where you need to have the 16 by 16, and you know, that's where you need to be thinking about prerequisites and all those kinds of things. So that year is really the most important year, I think, with regards to your high school academic career.
So question, should we be then putting it down in our calendar when our kids are approaching their summer of grade 10, or that we should be looking out, making road trips to universities, seeing what they look like, collecting course catalogs from different places?
It's never too early, but I think that's where you want to just start having conversations with them about interests. You know, what are you interested in? What do you like? Let's look at what it would take for you to achieve that goal or accomplish that goal, right? So start looking at pathways. Yeah, I don't know that you have to hit up every university campus, but I think it is just a good idea to start having conversations with them at that point in time. There's all kinds of, they used to call them aptitude tests, but you can, there are things even within My Blueprint, and guidance counselors can give you codes to different platforms where students can go on, and they'll get questions that they have to answer, and then upon completing these tests, it'll give them feedback with regards to where their strengths are and what careers go along with the strengths that they have, or that are you know, result from the way they answered the questions. And from that, then you can start having conversations and start exploring pathways and figuring out what needs to be done in order to accomplish goals.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. Time has flown by. You've answered questions, clearly done a phenomenal presentation. We have one more question, I believe. Oh, where did Claudette just disappeared, and she had the question.
I'm here. No, I'll leave it. I wanted to just leave space. If there's folks, if you wanted to ask a question, please do, because I wanted to interject, but I will leave that space for a second if there is anyone else.
I think we're good.
All right. Oh, I see that the feedback, link to the feedback form is in the chat. I think someone was supposed to say that, but I wanted to just first highlight these Black male educators that on purpose, intentionally, through this series of capacity building workshops, we have selected the best of the best. We've looked for those educators that we know have a deep caring and have always put their best self forward as really strong educators, but also just caring educators. And it's so important for us to have people in the field who know that our children are special and who understand our experiences. And so thank you. And just one thing I wanted to mention about course selection, just in general, course selection is your choice. Course selection is about your children and what they and their futures. And I think that is what it's like. I always talk a lot, I guess, about course selection. This is about future building. It's really important. And I just want to say thank you for the detail and the level of detail that you went through in these presentations. It was incredible, better than I knew you were going to come with it. So that's why you're here. But I'm so happy that we're recording and that this will be shared broadly for families. Your child, everyone, belongs in the spaces that we decide that they belong. The last thing we want to see is a choice being made or an outcome that was not in that child's desire. And I see it far too often. And I think the most important thing is to make sure we understand choices, options, just broad options. You know, we tell our kids they can be anything and they can do anything, and they can. And also to understand the implications. So both of you touched on that, just understanding the impact of making specific choices. And that to me is in total why we want to have something like this, because often choices are made. I am one of those parents who did have someone change my child's course selection and pathway more than once. I tell people all the time, I'm not afraid to tell people, because that's not okay. It's also not allowed. Once we sign the course selection as a parent, that's the choice. So always double check. And I was only able to find out because I double checked. And also because I knew what the course codes meant. So some of us may not necessarily know the difference between a P or a B or a D or a W or whatever. And so that's why I'm loving the W, because it is what it is. And I also just lastly wanted to say there's scholarships. We put a link to the BFCN scholarship directory, which is a directory of hundreds of scholarships that are just for Black students only. So please check out that link. Yeah, that's it. I think that's all. Let's look at my notes. That's it. Thank you. Carry on.
Well, Claudette, I think that you have wrapped up beautifully. It is 8:33. Malika, if you want to speak very quickly to the feedback form, and then I'll.
Sure. Thanks, Soini. And thank you, Claudette, for elaborating on that. I know that's a very valid concern and happens. And thank you, Greg. And thank you, Nigel, for your fantastic presentation and our knowledge and learning that we had this evening. Thank you, parents, for joining us and for sharing your questions in the chat and for sharing it in the discussion. You'll notice in the chat, there's a link for a Google form. We really appreciate your feedback there. Just to click and let us know, it was helpful to you, or if you've got further questions or you've got comments or suggestions, it really helps us as we plan future workshops to better support us as parents of Black children. Thank you.
Thank you. Just before we go, Samia.
Yes.
If your son will let you.
Say thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, and I hope that we can all reconnect again in the future with future workshops that are coming up by parents of Black children. And honestly, so much learning even for me as a parent. So I'm like, thank God that I was able to be here with you all tonight, learning alongside you all.
Thank you so much, Samia. Ianu.
It's like you had it and then you just like, no. It's quite all right. Yeah, thank you all so much for joining us this evening. Just quickly in the chat there, the BFCN scholarships page has been shared with you. Some might not be open now for the scholarships, but just get familiar with the page, get familiar with what is offered. Besides the scholarships, there's a lot of information, a lot of just resources there for parents of Black youths as well. So please take time to go through that. And just to echo what everyone has said already, Nigel, Greg, it's like taking a drink of a very large jug. And I know I speak for everyone here saying that there's definitely a lot to think about, consider, and to just reflect on. Please feel free to reach out to us, parents of Black children. We can connect you with Nigel and Greg. If you have any other questions that may come up later, it is always our pleasure to serve you and serve our community. Thank you all.
Amazing. So Claudette, I don't know if you wanted to add anything else in.
I don't. I just want to shout out Sammy, our York University Co-op champion. She's amazing. And she's like, I think just about wrapped up, but we're keeping her. She can't go anywhere. I don't know if you graduate or you don't graduate. Yeah, you're staying with us. So I just wanted to say that out loud. She's incredible. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to you all. Thank you to Greg and Nigel. And so what we know tonight as we wrap up is that we just learned much more about pathways to Black brilliance. So everybody have a great night and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
I know. Bye.